Hi, so it is November 1st, which means it is getting near to the anniversary of when I first got sick. Um, so in December of 2022, I fell down the stairs, and then a few days later, December 7th, I woke up and I had really bad nausea, couldn't hardly do anything. I went downstairs, but then I was in tears. I couldn't focus on my school. It was awful. And so then we realized that stairs were a problem for me. I could not traverse them without being in a lot of pain. I laid in bed all day because moving around would make me gag. We went to a lot of doctors. We never got any solid diagnosis. I got a lot of diagnoses though. They thought I had appendicitis, they thought I had annular pancreatitis, they thought I had tightening of the veins in that area. They thought I had amps. There was a lot of diagnoses going around. But yeah, there was no solid one. Doctors couldn't agree on a single one. So yeah, it was a mess. There was one doctor I saw, she was awful. She thought it was all in my head. She also thought that it might have something to do with my blood pressure, even though my blood pressure was totally fine every time they checked it. But she did at one point admit that I had pancreatitis after my first ER trip. So, anyway, that's in the past. And now on to what this year has looked like. So, I made my video recap last year, probably in November. Um, and then shortly afterwards, during November, I think it was towards the end, I went mute again. That's another thing is that I go through phases where I am mute. If I talk or if I try to talk, I will start gagging and crying so hard that I really can't talk. So that's that. And doctors can't figure it out. So they just said, good luck. So I went mute in November of 2024. And during that December, I tried to reintroduce meat into my diet. And stuff I was having was like burgers, chicken parmesan, chicken nuggets, things like that. And hot dogs too. So there was a lot of beef, a lot of pork. There was also ham, which also pork. Anyway, so that was what that looked like, my diet then. Um, so yeah, when New Year's came around, I was feeling so horrible, but I did have a fun time. So I mean, at least that. After that, I decided to cut meat for a while again, and then I started feeling better. I think I started talking again in February, and then in March, I was suffering intense lower back pain. It was so bad I couldn't sleep at night. I remember my sister I think she was playing Jack X, combat racing, and I was just watching her, and like we would stay up all night, and it was a really bad time period, and so at a certain point I couldn't take it anymore. I said, okay, I need to go to the hospital. This is too much. I can't take this. So we went to the hospital. It was actually a fairly quick hospital trip compared to some of my previous ones. We got in there. We were in the waiting room for, a long time as usual. Um, and then when we went in to see the first doctor, she didn't believe it. She didn't really take it seriously, said it was probably just my period and stuff. And then she called in a different doctor. And this doctor, he came up to me and he like punched my stomach. It was really quick, really. I couldn't tell him, don't touch my stomach. And yeah, that was really intense, really painful. But when he saw my reaction that I was crying and really curled up and stuff, he decided to get me a CT scan. And I actually prefer CT scans to MRIs because they don't put anything on my stomach. Um, but yeah, so we went, and while we were waiting, they put me on some pain meds like Lyrica and ibuprofen, I think. I can't remember. They gave me a cocktail, so it was a lot of stuff. They also had me drink a contrast, which if you don't know already, I have gastroparesis, so I can't drink a whole lot. I can't eat a whole lot. So I was supposed to drink 2 bottles. I could only drink a half of one without puking. So, yeah, that was a mess. once I'd gotten to a half bottle, they said it was okay. They would manage without the rest. So I went in to get the MRI, and while I was in there, or not the MRI, the CT scan. While I was in there, I felt like I was going to pass out. I discounted that as I assumed that it was just because I hadn't slept in 3 days. I was like, yeah, that's just what that is. So when we went home from there, because they said, oh yeah, the CT scan looks fine. There's no problem. I was like, great, okay. So we went home, and the doctor prescribed Lyrica for me because that seemed to help. But when I started taking it at home, my eyes felt like they were gonna swell up out of my head. Like it was the most bizarre thing. It was so uncomfortable. I also almost passed out. So and then I read the side effects because for some weird reason I hadn't seen the paper until after I'd already started taking it. So yeah, I could have died from that. That was fun. So that all happened in March. And then after that, things started getting better. I was able to go down the stairs. I was hanging out with the family. And then I eventually got to the point where I was able to leave the house. It was a really exciting day for me. I went to Five Below and bought a few stuff. Really exciting. And then after that, I started going out more frequently. We went on vacation for the first time in like 3 years. That was really exciting as well. And then after that, uh, I had one day where I spent the entire day out. We went to several shops. I didn't actually buy a whole lot that day. And then we visited my grandparents who live in the mountains. And then I came home and I was feeling terrible. I knew it would be like one of the last outings I had for a while. So I decided might as well make it a really big one. This light is really annoying. So after that, they were going all right. And then it was in July, the 4th of July, I wanted something special, but I knew I couldn't eat several hot dogs. We didn't even have hot dogs on hand. So I was like, let's order out Chinese food. So I had a dumpling. Or I actually had multiple dumplings, I think, throughout the day. And sweet and sour chicken is deep fried and stuff. And then a few days later, I went mute. It was really rough. I thought I was going to die. I had zero energy, so I couldn't really move. And being mute, usually I text my family instead of signing because my sign language is a little rusty. And they also have a hard time reading it because I sign very fast. So yeah, I could hardly communicate with them. Um, we had Zootopia going on loop, and one of my sisters had to take the controller. I could not restart. It was awful. I couldn't even pause it. So, yeah, that was really scary. I thought for sure I was gonna die. And at that point, my dad was like, I think this is probably pancreatitis, which we'd already thought it might be, given the earlier diagnosis. So then we were looking at what I had, and obviously with the dumpling, that's pork, and then with the sweet and sour chicken, that's a lot of oil. So I got on a low-fat diet, and things started getting better. I eventually started tracking my food again as well, which helped a lot. So now I am doing better, a lot better. My mom went into the hospital at one point. So I moved downstairs, and since I've been downstairs, I've been able to make my own food. I'm actually upstairs right now because since I've been doing better, I've also been able to traverse the stairs. It's been great. It's been crazy great, but I still have my really really low days. My last vlog, which will come out at some point, I had to stop filming because I wasn't feeling very good. I had a mini mute phase recently. It was just one night, but that was still really scary. So yeah, I think that's about gotten caught up to where we are right now. It's November 1st again, and the anniversary is December 7th, which is actually probably when this video will be dropping. I just wanted to get this out of the way now. So I hope that was a really quick recap. I hope that was interesting. If you have pancreatitis, please leave a comment, and maybe we can talk. I can give you some recipes, because I've come up with a lot of stuff. I like experimenting with food, so I've come up with a lot of low to zero fat recipes during this time that are really delicious, and they help me to enjoy this really limited diet. It's also weird that it's so hard to order out when you're going low fat. Like, I thought it would be easier than carnivore because I've been carnivore before, but no, it's a lot harder for some reason. So, I hope you enjoyed. I hope this helps. If you have a illness that doctors can't figure it out, you need to research. You need to do the research yourself, because they are not going to help you. You're the only person that can help you. And with pancreatitis, it's a very person-to-person thing. So you need to figure out what works for you. So, yeah, I hope this helps.